Hello, everyone. My name is Sue Miller. Hey, Jen. Jen Davis is here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Davis.
And I'm the Director of Programs for the NYGNB. And Jen?
And I am the Director of Development and Membership.
So we're so happy you've joined us here. A lot of us, yes, I'm seeing all the reports of rainy evenings in the chat. So Jen and I are not too far from each other. So if there's some major problem with the electric grid or something, that's the only reason you're going to lose us. Otherwise, we're all good to sit here and chat about NYSFHC with you all tonight. So
absolutely.
Okay. So what we're going to try and do is go through a few points first, so you get an overall view of the conference, and we are happy to take all your questions about the conference. So we are going to be talking about the New York State Family History Conference. So this evening is what I can learn and enjoy about at the 2022 New York State Family History Conference. And the first thing I would like to say is, if you hear us say NYSFHC, that's the acronym for the New York State Family History Conference. So NYSFHC is our internal acronym, and we use in marketing and other things. So we're here to talk about that. So we're going to cover a couple of things. First of all, what is the conference about? And I know a number of you have already registered, which is fantastic. What can you learn? You know, what can I learn? What can you learn, rather? And how can you enjoy the conference? So let's talk first about what the conference is. Our theme for this year is Return to New York. So for those of you who are either returning in person to Albany or to returning to your New York research, maybe you've put it aside for a while, or maybe you've been doing it all along. We just want to get back to our New York things. If you ever see one of our emails and you see an image like this, if you click there, you'll get more information. Okay. And one of the things about returning is we are going to be in person in Albany this year. So we hope many of you will be able to join us. Quite a few of you, I think, already are signed up to join us in Albany. And that's one of the things we're certainly looking forward to. I'm going to pause for a second here with the share. Jen, would you like to add a few words there about the conference?
Thank you, Sue. Absolutely. Beyond what you're going to learn from the incredible speakers, the conference is a great way for you to connect with not only other members and constituents of the NYGNB, but other people who do research in New York. So you never know if you're going to find someone who's researching a similar family that you're looking into. You might find someone you're related to. You just never know. But it's a great way to meet other people who are doing the same types of research that you are, and learning from each other, as well as learning all the great things that Sue's going to tell you about in a bit.
In fact, I'll jump right in. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into what you can learn. But this is definitely a learning experience for most people. There are educational sessions. They are taking place both in Albany, and we are recording most of the sessions as well. So whether you're in Albany or at home, you'll be able to get most of the educational sessions. So those educational sessions are on a wide range of topics, but a lot of them are centered on your New York research, and they are brought to you by New York experts and subject matter experts. So there are lots of opportunities to learn from the presenters, and you'll have an opportunity. Most people, we never have enough time for questions, do we? But we try to get as many of your questions in as possible during the live sessions. And we also will have a forum on the conference website where you can ask questions. And Jen, wouldn't you say last year we found not only the speakers answering the questions, but as you pointed out a minute ago, other conference attendees will jump in and help and explain things that they've found, right?
Right. And that's one of the great things about NYSFHC. The other attendees will help you out. If you put a question in the chat box or the Q&A, and the speaker sometimes doesn't get to it right away, your other attendees will jump in and will answer that question. If you're having tech problems, they will help you immediately before we can do it sometimes. And it's just a real feeling of community with everyone. Again, whether you're there in person or whether you're attending NYSFHC at home online.
Right. And we're going to go to the website in a few minutes and show you how to figure out which is which and different things like that. But one thing I think we should talk about is, Jen, who should attend NYSFHC, our New York State Family History Conference?
Anyone who has an interest in researching New York families should attend. You can talk more, Sue, about the fact that it doesn't matter if you're just getting into your New York research, if you've been researching New York for a long time, everyone will find something that they will need to know at NYSFHC.
Absolutely. And we've designed the program so that we have some classes, some educational sessions that are more toward people who are starting out or in the intermediate part of their genealogy and family history journey. And there are some that are a little bit more in depth. I mean, when Judy Russell talks about court records, sometimes that's a little hard to do when you haven't gotten any experience yet in trying to figure out court records. But for those people who are more experienced, they will get a ton out of that session. And that doesn't mean that if you're just starting out, you shouldn't listen to that talk, because you might just pick up one or two nuggets that all of a sudden, 6 months, a year, 3 years later, you go, wait a minute. I think I remember hearing something about that. And then you can pull out the syllabus. And that's one thing I do want to talk about. And I'm going to pop back, if y'all don't mind. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go back to my little PowerPoint here, because I think we've got some good things about the experts and whatnot. Okay, so we were on that one. What can I learn? Make sure I make all my points here. We've got the New York experts, and besides New York experts, we've got subject matter experts. For all of the sessions, we'll have what's called a syllabus or a handout. That's material that pertains to that particular session. We've also broken down the more than 50 sessions that will be available to everyone coming to Albany into 5 general categories: topics, tracks, whatever you would like to call them. And they're here on the screen, all about New York, methods and tools, migration, New York and beyond. And that New York and beyond has things that while it applies to New York, it also applies to research beyond New York. So even if all your research is not New York, you can still take things from those sessions and apply it to other places, states and whatnot. And we have people and places. So that can be a cultural type topic, or to a narrower group of people or a place. So, okay, I hear I'm breaking up a little bit again. Let's see if that is better. And I will check my audio. Give me 1 second. Okay. It may be my internet connection. So let me just go really quickly here on the slide and make sure you understand we're bringing in subject matter experts from all over. So the speakers are their experts in their particular topic. So we really like to bring in those who know what they're talking about in the section. And I mentioned briefly the syllabus. This is an image of the downloadable PDF syllabus from last year's conference. So if you were attending last year's conference, you still should have this downloaded on your computer. And you will want to download the syllabus when it's available, which is close to the conference. And you can see all these bookmarks on the side. That tells you how you get to each of the sessions. And each session has materials like this. It's either a summary of the lecture, or it's like this one has a lot of hyperlinks to find things. So that's where you want to go. Okay. And let me pause my share here for a minute. And let's see, did we cover most of that, Jen? on the syllabus and the topics? I think we did.
We did. And
Okay.
we actually got a question,
Okay.
which is part of what I was going to talk about in the next session. So, or next section, I should say. So let me just go ahead and answer Susan's question, which was, will we be using an app or something where attendees can post their New York ancestor surnames and locations to connect with each other? And that is a great question, Susan. And yes, we are. So I believe Sue mentioned the forums very briefly in the introduction. So we will have online forums set up, and we set up a forum stream, I guess is the best way to call it, for each session. But then we also have chat sessions where we literally will set up some subject matters. We'll talk about families and locations. Where in New York are you researching? Who in New York are you researching? So that people can go in there, put questions they might have, put a search. I'm searching for this family. Does anyone else look for them or have any information about them? And that way you can talk to each other. And I will say I did a lot of monitoring of that in our last NYSFHC, and it was just great. It was the best conversations. People were helping each other. They were sharing research. They were telling each other which session to make sure they listened to later. It was just amazing.
Great. And what I'm going to do now, because I can show a little bit of that, I'm going to pop over to an internet browser here for a minute. And this is when I went to the home page of the NYGB. In fact, let me just pop back there. This is the home page of the NYGB. When you go to the events menu, you can pop down here to the New York State Family History Conference, and there's the conference home. There'll be the directory, there'll be the forum, there'll be some live stream and some sessions. So this is going to be filled out as we go along. Right now, we have effectively the marketing part of the website up. And this is the home page for the conference, okay? And there's a quick little video. This video will probably be updated a little bit later in the week or next week. And here's a quick summary of the 2 different conference passes that you can opt for when you join us for NYSFHC. The first is the NYSFHC Pass, which includes in-person attendance in Albany, and that's September 8th through 10th. It also includes everyone who comes to Albany will have the entire NYSFHC at home package as well, which is all of the on-demand sessions. So the NYSFHC at home includes certain live stream sessions, and we haven't announced yet which those live stream sessions. You're going to have to hold off a little bit to see which are the live stream sessions. And you'll see all of the on-demand ones. And there's also information here about the conference hotel. So when I just clicked on the sessions button on the side of the page here, and you can browse these sessions by their category. So if you would like to see the All About New York section, well, it's at the top of the page anyway, but if you wanted to jump to methods and tools, you just click on this methods and tools. You can click on migration. You can click on New York Beyond and people and places. So as we go down the page here, and I'll just stay with this All About New York for a minute. As you look at this page, you're going to see this is the title of the session. Okay, and these are in alphabetical order within the category. We've put a session number here. If you see this little thing in brackets, that's OD1, so that's on-demand 1. Janice Lovelace is doing an on-demand session about 18th century slavery and the gradual emancipation in the 19th century in New York. The second session we have listed here is Jane Wilcox will be doing the colonial British loyalist records at the New York State Archives. And Jane is doing that both in person and on demand. So anything that has this on demand is in your NYSFHC at home pass. Eric Grunset is doing DAR records for us because they are a great resource for New York. Okay. I think I see so Jen put the answer in the chat. The syllabus for the conference will have all of the sessions. We're not going to try and divide up the syllabus for the people at home versus the people who come to Albany. You get all the materials for all the sessions, even if there's a session that is, and you're at home. This one here, Skip Dewitt is doing the Hidden Gem, the Howland Lane Company in Central New York. He's doing that in person only. And a lot of speakers have decisions that they make about whether they're willing and able and have the time to record in advance. This is a session that if you want to see it in person and you want to see it, you'll need to come to Albany to see it. It will not be on demand. Now, if a hole opens up in Skip's schedule and he is able to and has the time to get it done before, because this is a brand new talk, by the way. If he has time to do it before, you may later see something if we're able to put it on demand, but the most current information is always on the website. And right now, best of our knowledge, Skip will not be able to record that in advance. So the only place you'll see it is in person, but you will have the syllabus materials for that session. Okay, so as you look down the page here, you'll see which are in person and which are on demand. So hopefully that helps. Jen, we got any more questions for a minute, or shall I keep going?
So I think the syllabus was definitely a question, and whether or not the sessions were labeled on the webpage, which as you're showing, they are. One sort of off-topic question, but I'll go ahead and answer that. There was a question about the expo space. So we will have an expo space. It is going to be completely online this year, very similar to what we did in 2020. So the exhibitors who take part in our expo space will have a full page where they will be either selling their wares or talking about what their products are. And as part of our forum, every exhibitor will have their own space in the forum where you can ask them questions and they will be able to answer you.
Okay. Very good. So let me share again. 1 second.
Sue, in the chat, there's a question from Lucinda about the sessions and what will be happening simultaneously and what won't. I think that might be a good thing to address.
Yep. Okay. We are getting ready to release that. We have it internally, but we're waiting on a couple final things. We will not have any more than 3 sessions going at any one time. Okay, so you'll only have to make a choice of 1 out of 3 when you're coming in person. We will release later what will be live streamed, and you will also see any session that says on demand, like happens to be at Robert Raymond's session, one of Robert Raymond's sessions and one of mine here. You can see here what is being recorded. So if you are coming in person, my recommendation would be to prioritize anything where you see only in person on the website, because the talks that say on demand will be recorded and you'll be able to access those. And we didn't give those dates yet, did we, Jen? From September 12th through October, is it 17th or 18th? 17th, October 17th. Yes. Okay, good. Through September 12th through October 17th. So when you're coming in person, and you will well in advance have that full grid, and we will assign, the rooms that each of them will be in. So you'll know which room to go to see any given session. I will say, and you will see a few pieces like this one here. We decided we wanted some more regional things too. So we asked Brian Sullivan to do one on Connecticut research, because so many people have both New York and Connecticut. There's also a topic, an expert who does some Vermont and things like that too. So some of these you will see are only on demand. So for various reasons, people aren't going to be coming. Okay. Yeah, the live stream sessions will be labeled later. We haven't announced which ones will be live streamed. But for those of you coming in person, we're not going to spring that on you in the last morning. You'll have plenty of time to plan out which ones that you're going to. Okay. So.
And we will announce the live stream for
Yes.
the registration cutoff as well.
Absolutely. Yep. And Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, but for the in-person, we will have a registration cutoff toward the end of August, I think it is. We'll announce that date in advance, right? Because we need to be able to prepare materials for people who are
Right.
coming in person, right?
Exactly. Send you the information you'll need, have everything ready to go for the event. So yes,
Right.
we will announce that cutoff.
Yeah. And I'm actually noticing here, I think we need to correct this one. This one is the NYGMB digitized collections materials available online for you. That one will be recorded. So we'll get the update made on the website. So you shouldn't see anything going less than what access that you already see on the website. But every once in a while, we have to do something and update something. Sorry, I'm just gradually scrolling down the page. So if you haven't already looked at the page, you can, find all of these. But in any case, you can just go to our website, go to events and see the conference home. And this is the sessions page that I'm on right now. So as I keep scrolling down for a minute, you keep seeing in person and on demand for many of them. But there are a couple of talks, and I will say most of them are new talks. This one's a brand new talk from Jane, and she will not be ready with this until we get to Albany. So there's not going to be any chance to record this in advance. So if you'd like to see this session, a great case study from the Revolutionary War period by Jane Wilcox, you're going to want to come to Albany to see that one. Okay. Jen, any more questions, or I'll continue scrolling for a minute as we go?
Sue, Joseph has two questions. First, he asked if the sessions will be labeled as to whether or not they're for beginner, intermediate, or advanced.
Yeah, we haven't done that, but that's not a bad idea. We could probably try and add something here, or we are working on that kind of traditional brochure style. So in one of those places, I think we can do that. That's a good idea. This one I'm really looking forward to. Sherry Bush works for Family Search, and free websites, everybody loves them, but that is going to be in person only. Okay. So I'm going down the list here for a minute. And I think, Jen, as I just scroll down these last ones, one of the things we do want to talk about is registration, right?
Correct. Yes.
So,
yes. So why don't you show where they could register on the site?
Yep, there's almost always a register button right on they're on all these pages, register button right here on the side. Now, it brings you back to here because you need to know whether you want to register for the Albany event and come to Albany in person, or whether you want to pick the NYSFHC at home package. Now, when you pick one, I'm going to hit the Albany one for a minute. You always get this pop-up box, okay? And that is because if you are a member, you need to log in order to get the member discount. And if you don't want to log in and get the member discount, and this applies to basically any of our registrations, you can just click this box, and I didn't register as a member, so I get the general admission price. Okay, and there is the summary of the event. And here's the option. If you really were looking to register only for NYSFHC at home, it gives you a page where you can click over. So then you put in all your registration details. And if you want to continue to register with us for other events, it's always good to do a login. A login does not mean you're a member. And for Albany, we've got this big long waiver. You hit yes to all of that, and you continue on. Oh, no, it doesn't like it. So you have to fill in all the fields for that. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a minute here. And I'm going to switch back to my PowerPoint for 1 minute here, because it does show you that one more time. So when you, I didn't finish my share today. Hang on. My Zoom windows popped away. There it is. Okay. Sorry about that. So when you get this window, you can just log in as a member, okay? If you don't log in as a member, you're not going to get that member rate, okay? Jen, did I explain that well? I got a little distracted by the, okay.
Yes, no, if you want to get the member rate and our member, be sure that you log in before you continue with your registration.
Right. And once you do log in fact, I'm going to just take 1 second and log myself. You know what? Here, I can do this new share. If it will let me do that really quickly. Here we are. Okay. So here I had to switch browsers because my member login, I always have to do in a separate browser because of the admin functions. So here I'm logging in as a member. So now to register for the New York State Family History Conference with the on-demand access in Albany, now I'm getting the member price. Okay, so there's my include me as the attendee. Once I click the member waiver, the whole waiver, and hit continue, there we go. There's my admission. There's my name and email. What name would I like on my badge? Sue. And I would like the pass. And it gives you, the registration gives you options for in Albany. The print syllabus, the welcome reception, there's no charge for, but we just want to get a count of generally how many people are going to come. If you want the box lunches, if there's no charge again, but if you are going to attend New York Stories Night, it helps us to get a count. And if you're going to stay for the closing reception on Saturday, right, Jen? So that leads into some of the social events.
Right. So let me talk about some of the other things that you will get to attend beyond the educational sessions at NYSFHC. We do try to give you some time to talk with your other attendees and as well as presenters and the NYGMB staff. So Thursday night, there will be a welcome reception. As Sue just said, there is no charge, but if you're planning to attend, we would love if you would just check that box when you register so that we are sure that we have enough hors d'oeuvres for everyone. But that will be a nice way of kicking it off for our first night, getting everyone together. It's just a simple reception to get to know the people who you're sitting next to in sessions. And then we have box lunch options. So those are for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. If you do choose to purchase a box lunch, you will then get an email later with your lunch options. We'll send those to you so that we can keep track of how many kinds of the lunches. And what we're planning to do is have an open seating area for everyone to eat their box lunch, and we'll have entertainment during lunch, which we'll announce when we get a little closer, but we're looking at local varying types of entertainment to give you a little rest and relaxation while you eat your lunch. And also, again, a time to talk to other people and just commune with your other attendees. New York Stories Night, that's Friday night. That's one of my very, very favorite events. We started that at the 2020 NYSFHC. And basically, we have asked everyone, and I include to ask all of you that, if you have an interesting New York story, we want to hear about it. I would love for you to send me a brief description of what your story is. And these are not research stories. These are interesting and entertaining stories that you may have learned about while you were doing your research. In 2020, we had stories of a family who she found out her parents had met in a jazz club in Harlem during the 1920s and had newspaper articles talking about them. There was a woman who lived in New York City during World War II, and she recounted what it was like being a child riding the subway during the war years. We had a gentleman who talked about living on the Upper East Side of Manhattan and how everything a child needs to know you learned through the game of stickball, which went over very well with the audience. And We had some families from upstate New York, Rochester. There was a gentleman who bought an album, a rock album, and realized that he heard the piano that was at his grandmother's house and found out that it really was the piano from his grandmother's house. It was beyond interesting. So these are the kind of stories we're looking for. And it will be pre-recorded, and we will show the stories in Albany, but we will also live stream it. So it will be available to everyone who's attending, both in person and at home. And it's a fun night. And again, it's a free event. So we would love to have you come. And then the closing reception is just a great way for everyone to get together, get a snack, grab a cookie, and say goodbye to the friends you made during NYSFHC. So we absolutely hope you'll join us there. And Joseph, thank you so much for mentioning that you remember the stickball and the jazz club, because those were the two best stories in my opinion. So yeah, and just to answer Dory's question, yes, if you decide you want to come to the reception, just give myself or Anna King a call and we can change that for you. So that's no problem at all.
Yep, and an email is probably also fine to membership at nygbs.org, Jen. If
right,
yeah,
right.
If you don't want to make a phone call, it's fine to just pop us an email. If you've already registered, we'll add those. If you want to add the lunches later, that would need a phone call because we'd need to get the credit card. We don't save your credit card numbers.
Right.
So if you want to add lunches, just phone the office and somebody can help you with that. Usually Anna, she's a whiz at that.
Right, right.
Joseph, I see your question about is there times carved out to go to the New York State Archives or the New York State Library? We are going to have our sessions run from about 9 a.m. to in the 4:35 o'clock range. There will be, an hour and a half at lunchtime, but we need to condense the educational portion of this. So if you do want to plan time at the New York State Archives and New York State Library, you might want to plan some time before the conference. I don't know what their schedule will be for Saturday even. Currently, the New York State Library is not open on Saturdays. The New York State Archives they tend to have different schedules. So staffing right now, we haven't heard of any extended hours and things like that. So you'll have to plan some extra time on your own for that. Or if you know the session's going to be recorded, you could go during that and you could watch the recording of the session, because I know a lot of times people are doing that. Dory is saying they're both closed on Saturday. Yeah. You were there last Friday. Yeah, I know some of the staff members are still working on Saturdays, which gives me hope that the archives might start opening on Saturdays, but we really have to wait and see what their staffing levels and all that. And these days, unfortunately, we don't usually get answers very far in advance for that sort of thing. So.
Right. And Sue, I think this is a good time to just jump in since we're talking about the archives and the library. One thing that I'm sure people are curious about are COVID restrictions. We're tracking those, and due to the fact that they're changing constantly, literally daily right now, it seems like. I know New York City put out a new suggestion today that people wear masks indoors. I've been on the New York State website following it. So we will keep you updated as we get closer to the event. The fact that the regulations change so often, we don't want to keep sending out information that may not be correct. So we will send you the final information once we're much closer to the event. So
okay, very good. Esther is asking, are there any scholarships or financial aid? We don't have anyone who's given us a grant to do that sort of thing at this point, but we will certainly keep it in mind. Quite frankly, the NYSFHC at home is, I think, very reasonably priced. So for the number of sessions that you're getting, hopefully that will work for you. So do be aware that registrations are not shareable or transferable. Okay. So, okay. Anything else that we think we need to cover? Oh, Jen, what about if someone wants to volunteer to assist with like registration or something like that?
If someone would like to volunteer, we would be so excited to have you. We will do some outreach to everyone who's registered soon. We always need assistance with registration, which we appreciate anyone who's willing to volunteer for that. And because registration takes place that first morning, you wouldn't be asked to miss any sessions or even the opening session. This would be before anything started. But again, everyone tends to register or check in, I should say, at the same time. And the more people we can have there, the easier it goes. So if anyone is going to be there Thursday morning and would be interested in helping us with check-in, please, please, please let us know. I will put Anna's email in the chat. Anna King is our volunteer coordinator, and probably many of you have spoken to her when you called to register or to find out information. So Anna would love to hear from you if you would like to register or volunteer, pardon me. So we would absolutely appreciate that. And I think just to follow up on that, Anna and I are also sending out monthly emails to everyone who registers. And in those emails, we are covering basically everything that Sue and I have talked about tonight in various forms. And important information will be repeated as we get closer. So we just want you to know that once you sign up to come to NYSFHC, you will be getting information again, just reminders of any changes to the program, any updates to the program, what's going to happen at the reception and in New York Stories night, information about COVID, information about the hotel, anything that we think is important, we will throw in those emails. So, and when we get closer, we'll start sending them weekly. So that way we want to make sure you have all the necessary information in your hand before you come to Albany or before you're at home and you start watching.
Okay. And we will do another session like this in June, so that if you have more questions about NYSFHC, we'll be able to do that. I think, Jen, that may be the week that you are on the heritage tour exploring our past in Northern Ireland, right?
I believe it is, yes. So I will not be able to attend that particular webinar. I will be on another educational trip, but I am sure Sue will be able to handle everything just fine.
Okay. I think we've got one last question here, just checking the chat and the other questions. And to Joe's question earlier that you booked your hotel, 2 days early for research purposes. So you're glad that you confirmed that. We do have what they call at the hotel shoulder dates. So you can get the conference rate a few days before and a few days after. So if you are trying to come in person and come to Albany, or need to go out to the surrounding area to see that the villages, towns, even cities that your ancestors were from, and you might need to do research there, you can get the hotel rate for a little bit longer. And Joseph is also asking about, do you know if we can submit vital records requests on site in Albany? According to the website, as of earlier today, the Manans office, which is where you would go in person to submit a request to the New York State Department of Health for a vital record, is still closed. We don't know any plans for when they might open. My understanding is that the drop-off box is at the New York State Archives. So you need to register as a researcher to go pop in and put your request into the New York State Archives box. What we also don't know is whether that box is getting any real priority over others. I saw one instance where someone reported they got their vital records. It was still a horrendously long wait, but he did get it earlier than all the other people I saw on the list. So if you're not submitting it by mail now, if you're still doing research and you find things, come prepared with, a few, remember those paper checks to submit with a paper application in Albany in case that box is really getting a little bit of priority. So one of the advantages of coming to Albany is you can go and research at the New York State Library, the New York State Archives. There are a lot of historic sites too. We're concentrating on the educational program for you. But there are lots of great things to see in and around Albany. So,
Right.
Jen, have we missed anything from our list of things we wanted to talk about? Don't see more questions.
I think the one thing we can talk about is what should anybody who attends NYSFHC expect to take home? What do you think?
All right, I would give you a couple of things. First of all, you spoke about it, Jen, the connections, the fun you have, talking with people in the hallway, sitting next to them before and after a talk that you both enjoyed, and sharing some of the stories and experience. And how it is, you start a conversation with somebody and the next person's walking by and they hear something and it twigs something for them, or you meet them at a reception and you're talking about the same county or something like that. Those sort of experiences and connections are absolutely one of the takeaways. You also should hopefully go home with knowledge that'll help you move your research forward. The educational sessions brought to you by these experts. Well, everyone has expertise in certain areas. We all learn from each other too. So being open to absorbing new ideas from the experts and asking questions of them. And you may find, maybe you end up listening to a session in Albany, and then go home and watch the recorded version, because when you come to Albany, you also get all those on-demand sessions that you can watch from the 12th to October 17th. Right. And stories, right, Jen?
Right. Everything we do is about New York stories. Your story, someone else's story that resonates with you, stories that you learn about, stories that you hear that you think, wow, that's so similar to my story or my family story. We want to hear everyone's stories, and we want you to share your stories. So
well said, Jen. All right. Well, I think if we don't have anything else in the Q&A, I think we're pretty much wrapped up for this evening. And boy, are we looking forward to seeing you all in Albany.
Yes. We can't wait. It feels like a long time since 2018.
The conference and seeing all of you members and community is definitely one of the highlights for us. We really enjoy it. Everyone on the team does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you to everyone for your nice comments in the chat, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yep. And if you had fun, come back and watch the e-news for the next session like this, and watch the e-news always for more announcements about NYSFHC. All right. Good night, everyone.